Satya is our second yama. The Yama and the Niyama are principles that yogis try to live by. And these principles aren't a moral code in the sense of you're a good person or a bad person if you do them. It's more that if you want to be more authentic, if you want to be more connected to who you really are and find more peace and joy, then following the Yama and the Niyama will help. Satya is often translated as truth or truthfulness, and although that is accurate, Sat has an actual deeper meaning. I'd love to share with you 2 ways to bring Satya into your life, and also a mudra and a mantra to help you connect to your authentic self. My name is Christina. I'm the founder of Soul Thrive Yoga, and here at Soul Thrive, we are passionate about all aspects of yoga, from the physical practice to the mindfulness and the meditation, and we use all of that to connect a little bit more to our truest self. So on that note, our truest self, what does that mean? Satya, the root of that word, sat, S-A-T, actually translates to true essence or true nature. It also translates to truth, and it also translates to that which is unchangeable. That which is unchangeable. Yoga believes that we are a divine being having a human experience, and that divine part of us, could call it the soul, that divine part of us is unchangeable. It's permanent. Everything else changes. Our body changes, our thoughts change, our emotions change, but that part of us that is unchangeable, that is our sat, our truest self. And when we practice Satya, part of that practice is connecting to that part of ourselves with curiosity. And yoga isn't here to tell you what that is or what that looks like. It's really for you to discover. It's for us to meditate, to practice mindfulness, to practice pranayama and the physical forms of yoga as well, to connect and say, who am I really? What is my true nature? What part of me is unchangeable? And can I connect to that? And when we take the time to self-reflect on that part of ourselves, when we take this time to self-reflect and see, am I living in alignment with that part of myself? You know, many times we change our personality, we change our thoughts, we change our actions and our body to try to fit in with a group or to be accepted. And that's human nature. I'm not here to judge that. However, when we can connect to who we really are, that divine part of us, the part of us that is unchangeable, then we can connect to a deeper bliss, a deeper place of peace. And then yoga asks us to act from that place, to act with integrity from our truest self. Not from our personality and our thoughts and from what we think we're supposed to be doing based on society and what other people are saying, but to connect to our truest self. So Satya asks us to connect to that part, to figure out what the heck that is through different practices, and then to self-reflect and say, am I living in alignment with that? Am I living with integrity? So that's one aspect of Satya. And then the other aspect, which is the part that's talked about more often, is truthfulness. And yes, that means we speak truth. We try not to lie. Yes, that is part of it. But it's deeper than that. We try to be truthful in our thoughts, our words, our actions, our interactions with others, and also with our intentions. Many times we say or do something, but the intention behind it we're not honest about what that is. We might not be honest with other people about what it is, and many times we're not honest with ourselves about our intention. So we try to be truthful in all of those aspects of ourselves. It's not just about not lying. Another thing to note with this is it's nuanced. Truth is not black and white. And I know that might sound crazy, but it really isn't. I'll give you an example. If you asked me for directions to, say, the nearest yoga studio, and I say, go this way, and then you ask someone else, and they tell you to go this way, both of those routes are true, but they're different. And my truth at this moment in time may not be your truth at this moment in time. My truth today is different than my truth 10 years ago. And so truth isn't black and white. There's a lot of gray in between. And we have to recognize that my truth is not your truth. It's truthfulness, Satya. It doesn't mean that I try to push my beliefs on you. that I try to convince you of my truth. It just asks me to sit in my truth and act from my truth instead of trying to force it onto someone else. Another aspect that needs to be considered when we're bringing Satya into our lives is how does that interact with Ahimsa? Ahimsa is non-violence or non-harming. It's our first yama. And sometimes speaking our truth is going to cause someone harm. If we know that, then we need to be very mindful of how we're sharing it if we choose to share it at all. Sometimes being truthful with your intentions and your integrity means not actually verbally sharing your truth. Because living in integrity with myself is non-violence and not harming you. And if I know that this is going to hurt you, if it's not kind and it's not necessary, then I don't need to say it. We don't have to say everything we think. We don't have to share every single emotion. And not every thought you have is actually true. So sometimes living in integrity and truth of your own principles means not sharing what you're thinking, feeling, and experiencing. So those two do interact. Now it is context dependent. So it depends. Another example where you might need to speak it even though it hurts someone is standing up for somebody. If somebody's being harassed in some way and they don't have a voice and they can't speak up for themselves, sometimes we need to speak truth to the person who's doing the harassing even though we know it's going to hurt them. Activism is something like this, where we need to stand up for ourselves. We need to stand up for other people. We need to speak the truth, even though it might hurt someone. Ahimsa and Satya really interact a lot in our daily lives, and it depends on the context. There is no black and white, yes, no. More so, if we can connect to our authentic self, to our divine self, not my ego, not Christina, my thoughts, my personality, and my body and my roles. If I can connect to the divine part of myself and act from there in alignment with my values, then the two will make sense and they'll be able to interact in a way that supports us and others around us. The last thing I'd like to share is a mantra and a mudra that can help with this. This is one of my favorites. It's Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma. It means my true essence. And as I mentioned, there's a mudra that goes with it. So you can touch your thumb to your index finger when you say Sa Ta Na Ma. Sa Ta Na Ma. Connecting to this intention of my true essence, my true nature. Again, that part of us that is divine, that part of us that is unchangeable. And if you haven't connected to that, or if this is a new concept for you, take the time to just reflect on that. Is there a part of me that's permanent? Is there a part of me that's not changing throughout the years? My personality changes, my thoughts change, all of that changes. Of course, our body changes. So what part of me doesn't change? Do you believe that you're a divine being having a human experience? I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm just sharing what yoga teaches, and if it helps you, wonderful. So back to this mantra, Sat Ta Na Ma. It means my true essence. And you can do this for about 12 minutes or less. And when you first start off saying it out loud. And when you say it out loud, we're talking or connecting to our most material self, our physical body. Sa Ta Na Ma, my physical body. And then you can say it as a whisper. Sa Ta Na Ma. And that is representing our internal world, our thoughts. And then we say it silently to ourselves as we do it. And this is to connect to the divine self. You can do roughly a minute or two of each one to connect to the different layers of ourselves. And this is a great one to ground you and to connect you to your authentic self when you're feeling confused or pulled in a bunch of different directions, when you're feeling that you're not acting in alignment with your truest self or integrity. Take a moment to Sa Ta Na Ma, realign, and then try to participate in the world from that place.